When I graduated film school, I feel like I didn't manage my own expectations and no one else did. I think that's why the hit felt much harder when I entered the workforce and realized that I wasn't going to be hired by a production company and start, directing stuff right out the gate. And so in this video, we're going to go through what I am uh, titling the post-film school dark ages and how to leave them. Before I fully dive into the video, I just kind of want to walk you through what the structure of the video will be. I'm going to start with context because I think context is key to anything. The stuff I may recommend or advise may not apply to you because our experiences might look definitely like too different, but maybe it looks similar. And so that's why I will go into some detail on what the context of my situation was before I graduated and right after I graduated. Then I'm gonna try to paint a picture of what my dark ages look like, and we'll end the video with some tips and tricks to how to handle the dark ages and mainly how to exit them. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about where I was going into graduation and just kind of like what that last semester of senior year looked like. Basically what I did is I focused on all of my projects and the other projects I was in. So my emphasis was on building my portfolio just because I knew that having a diploma on film didn't really matter in the industry, and it was more about the type of work that you did and you had to like show them tell, right? However, I forgot to focus on the networking of it all. And don't get me wrong, I did network, but I did, I guess, what's it called? Like horizontal networking, meaning that I was really, trying to like work with as many of my classmates as I could. I was trying to help everyone on their projects. During my time at the University of Texas at Austin Hookham, I was on over 100 student film sets. I directed 10 short films of my own, and I produced a couple for some of my friends. I also shot a couple. So I thought that I was good on like that experience. I didn't have any professional experience at the time. And again, I didn't prioritize networking with the Austin film industry, if you will. So if I had to say what my goals were before graduating, I don't know. I think I was hoping for a production company to just kind of hire me, and then my freelance career would kickstart from that. And so once I graduated, I enjoyed a couple of weeks, to celebrate the achievement of graduating. It's my last time being a student, so I had to celebrate. But then once I started worrying about a job, what I did was that I started emailing and cold emailing a bunch of production companies in Austin, in Houston, because that's also where I'm from, LA, New York. I emailed over 200 production companies, and only 2 got back to me, and only 1 resulted in a job or a gig. So once I was emailing and didn't hear like a promptly response from anyone, I started to get a little worried, mainly because I wanted to stay in Austin just because Austin is a commercial hub. And my plan was like, well, if I start working in commercials, then, that's where the money is. I'll start making bank, and then I'll use that money, I'll save it up, and then do my occasional passion project on the side. That sounds like a dream, no? So I started getting scared, and I started looking at jobs outside of the film industry. I was looking at a lot of photographer jobs at like X industry and like videographer or media person, a lot of social media jobs. It wasn't until I applied to a receptionist job at a law firm that I heard back from the employer. So with this information, behold the dark ages. So got the job, accepted the job. And okay, I want to start off by saying that I was very fortunate to have a job, and I was thankful for it, and a lot of good things came out from it. Um, but for that to be the first job right after film school, it was a tough hit. The way I like to describe my experience graduating is film school is like a bubble, and you're there and you're having fun and you're just like, it's great. I mean, you're making films with your friends, you're experiencing, college and all of that. But then senior year hits, last semester hits, you start worrying about graduation, and then you start seeing like a needle like in your peripheral, and you're kind of trying to like look the other way, right? Because it's like it's getting close, but you're not trying to look at it, right? And then you're still enjoying the graduation paraphernalia and all of that, but then the bubble pops, and then you start falling, and then you don't know what you're falling, onto until you hit the ground, and then you're like, oh wow, so this is what it's like. And so again, the job wasn't bad. It was a good job, and it paid well. But it was a 9 to 5, so 40 hours a week, and I was just not doing what I wanted to do. In fact, I'm gonna put somewhere in here a picture of me after my first day at the job. And I don't know if you can tell, but I basically cried myself home because it was just not it. So to try and summarize the like year and a half that I was at that job, let's say the first 3 to 4 months were pretty good. I was on top of everything. I was like, yeah, not the ideal job, but I'm still gonna, do my job, right? And I was getting on set over the weekends, which cut up to me because it was pretty exhausting. But I was sort of like stimulating that side, right? It was around Christmas time, and I kind of realized, oh, I don't have a winter break anymore. I have to be working, I guess, with the exception of Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So that was a big hit, not being able to spend as much time with my family as I wanted to, right? And honestly, not being able to just rest. So Christmas was the time where my perception of that job went just like downhill. And that's when I realized that I wanted to quit the job. But the main thing that was keeping me from it was money, not having enough money saved up to just be able to afford my expenses while trying to look for either another job, another like full-time job that was closer to media creation, or to like potentially start a freelance career. So I stayed in that job for the next like 6-7 months with that in mind. So once I had that goal of wanting to quit, I kind of like started to plant seeds. I started reaching out to people that worked here in the industry. I'm a director at heart. That's what I want to do. But when I'm not directing, I do camera department. So I was reaching out to a bunch of local ACs to try and just network, trying to build a relationship, trying to like, get to know them, or them get to know me. And if it sparked something, if it felt true for both of us, maybe open up the possibility of a working relationship, right? And there was a period in like April, May, where I got offered like 3 gigs in the span of 2 weeks, but I could only take so many days off with PTO and without PTO even. And that's when I realized, wait, maybe this legwork that I'm doing on the side is starting to, come to fruition. So then pretty much things aligned for me to have enough money saved up to live for like 6 months. And that was assuming that I wasn't getting any money like in for those 6 months. Some people would recommend to have over a year, over 2 years I've seen. But again, everyone's circumstances are different. That's just what I decided to do. I was like, I'm willing to be able to afford 6 months and that's it. And I guess I was really trusting and relying on myself to get more income within those 6 months. So then I heard that a rental house here in Austin was opening up a position, and I applied to it. I was very fortunate to get to the interview stage, and I literally went to the interview during my lunch break at my day job at the firm. And so, long story short, I get the job at the rental house. And that's when I put in my 2 weeks. I started working part time at this rental house. And then a few months ago, I was bumped into full time. But during the part time period, I was able to, put in some of that work of networking with the industry here and everyone working in it. Um, and I got a few gigs out of that. So a big thing about working in film is just your network and your connections. It is what it is. This is geared more towards my college students watching right now, but I would start networking outside of the school circle starting your junior year. I would expect to start PAing for those professional gigs, and that is totally fine because a student film set versus a professional film set, they are not that different, but the pace is so much different. Like a professional film set, like things are going pa 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 pa. Now, if you didn't do all of that legwork, similar to what my case was, I would start looking at getting a full-time job, a 9 to 5. If you're able to work within the industry or do something related to like photography, videography for a company, that's great. If not, I would just get a job. And I would approach it with this mindset of like, this job is not related to what I want to do. I am going to hate it eventually. I am not going to enjoy it at some point, but I am going to be here purposefully. And I am going to try and plan my timeline of how long I'm going to be here. Depending on what you're getting paid, you can make like a calculation of like, hey, I'm going to save up like 20% of every paycheck, and by the time it's like a year of working here, I'm going to have X amount. How long does that let me live for, um, in terms of my expenses? That would be a good way to plan how long to stay at that job. But I would definitely say at least a year. And trust me, time will go by so quickly once you graduate. So you're not even going to notice it. Next one is kind of cliche, but definitely like try not to compare yourself. And I know that's like super hard. I mean, I have done it, I keep doing it, and I probably will continue to do it. And I think some of that is good because the way that I see it is it kind of like pushes me to kind of want to be in those places or in those positions that like my peers are at, but it can get really detrimental to everyone's mental health really quickly. So just be careful with that. Everyone has different circumstances again, and the ones that you're going through, that is your path. But now that you are aware of where you're at, then you can plan accordingly to your situation, your circumstances, and what you can do. Again, I was very privileged in many ways, but I also had to plan, within my means and my limitations. So everyone's path and everyone's journey to exit the dark ages will look very differently. And lastly, don't forget to stimulate your artistic side, whatever that looks like for you. For me, it looked like being on set on the weekends. Most of them were unpaid, but it just kind of like scratched the itch. But this might look like, writing a novel, writing short stories, writing screenplays. There's a lot of ways in which you can keep that creative side stimulated. So definitely don't forget to do that because we all creatives need a way to express ourselves and just create things. I think that's all I have for now. If you stayed this long, I've been shooting for 29 minutes. I'm so sorry, but thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.